You're listening to Are You Not Entertained? My name is Maximus Cardillo. I am a director, writer, producer for Broken House Productions. Today we are having Efren Martinez on the podcast. Efren is a filmmaker, content creator, and jockey. In this episode, we talk about the psychology behind our creative process. We talk about going from wrestlers to filmmakers and staying true to the idea. The hope is that this podcast reaches young filmmakers like ourselves and maybe serve as an inspiration to start the climb up the unclimbable mountain, filmmaking. I hope everybody enjoys today's podcast. Being a jockey, did that help you wake up early for this or what?
I want to say yes, but it's something not to get used to.
Right. It's something that you have to do, but it's not easy to get used to, right?
Yeah, I know I haven't woken up this early since summer.
Since summer?
Because that's when the racing season
starts
and shit.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, dude, tell me all about that. I'm how does that even work? Okay, here we go. Look at us. I got a side-by-side. Tough. Okay.
Oh, that's dope.
This is the first time I did a virtual podcast. But I guess we're in this thing now. I guess that means we're doing the podcast. I've been rolling on all of this, so I guess I'm just going to keep it in. Just keep it all in. We're live like it's TV. Oh, damn. Did you see my hat just bust open like that? Okay. I think we're in. So being a jockey did help you wake up this early for this?
I want to say yes because I'm so used to waking up early and going to sleep early.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think the last time was the first time I slept pretty early just for this occasion.
Right. So for context, everybody listening, it's 7 in the morning right now. I guess for Efren, because I guess you're an hour behind me, it's 6 a.m. right now.
Yeah, it's 6 a.m.
Dude, thanks for the time. Thanks for being such a champ.
Yeah, I mean, I know I really wanted to do this, and you wanted to do this in the morning. I'm like, crap, I work in the morning.
I think I'm the type of person that wants to get their stuff done. So, I guess I don't know. I think waking up and having a good conversation is the most productive thing you could do. And I knew I wanted to talk to you about a wide array of topics. So I just wanted to start my day with it, and here we are doing that. I'm thrilled to have you on, Efren. We have a past, I guess you could say. I think it spans back a couple years now. Do you want to tell people how we know each other?
I guess I can say we grew up watching each other's YouTube channels, but in reality, I guess I discovered your channel when I was a kid because, long story short, I grew up as a WWE fan, you grew up as a WWE fan, and all of a sudden I was making wrestling videos on the trampoline with my friends.
Right.
And, as I was making content, I noticed your channel, and I was like, oh, these guys are cool. And then I find out, wait, where's the trampoline? Because we were doing it on trampoline, and we were like, damn, these guys are, hardcore. And then, I reached out to you, and, we just kind of, started talking and all that.
So, wait, you saw that we didn't do it on a trampoline, and you said, oh, these guys are hardcore?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just didn't have a trampoline. And if we even did have a trampoline, I don't even know if we would have used it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even more for context, for everybody who is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and everybody listening who doesn't know our little bubble, me and Efren used to be a part of this backyard wrestling community on YouTube. It was the most crazy shit you've kind of ever seen. We were 10 years old on YouTube just fighting kids randomly. I had guys from Michigan fly out to me, and we would just fight in a backyard. No rules really or anything, just full on fighting each other in the backyard, and then we'd post it to YouTube. A couple of my clips went viral. That's actually how I wound up making content. I was actually a backyard fighter. It was like Fight Club. If you've ever seen that movie, it was like Fight Club, but in a backyard with a bunch of kids. But the thing about it was we did it from 10 years old. Well, I guess I'm speaking for myself. I did it from 10, 11 years old until about, I think I was 20 when we stopped. So it was about 10 years of that. So I grew a following on YouTube, and and it really was special. And I met guys like Efren on the internet. Now, me and Efren have never interacted in real life, but we have had multiple conversations. I think he had me on his podcast a couple years ago, and yeah, we've had multiple interactions on the internet. We've now grown to be peers. I wanted to have him on because he's a pretty interesting dude. And honestly, bro, to be completely honest with you, you remind me of myself. So I really wanted to have you on here because it's like having a younger me on here, and it's like I'm talking to me from years ago, right? Because I think you're a few years younger than me.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I noticed you dipped and you dived over a couple parts of the story of how we met. Do you know
Hmm.
what parts I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean,
Do you?
yeah. I mean, 'cause look, I will be honest. Look, I will be honest. Like, yes, I know. Like, we didn't really start it eye to eye. You know, I will admit that. Because, like, I know the point where I was like,
That's
yo,
one
I
way
saw
of
this guy.
putting
You
it.
know, I saw this guy, and I was like, damn, you know, he's up there. And I was like, oh, I want to like get up there. And like, yeah, I
What do
mean,
you mean
sure, I
get up
guess I
there?
kind of.
What do you mean get up there?
Well, I guess like be like that recognizable, you know. And I wasn't sure. I don't know how I would view myself, you know, because like
You
I don't
thought
know
I
if
was
that.
recognizable?
Yeah. So, anyways, I pretty much did like, you know, I remember watching The Walking Dead, and I saw Negan, you know, having everybody on their knees, calling them out, and I was like, what if I should do something like that, you know? And I guess that's how I kind of developed that gimmick for a second
Right.
with the photo frames and everything.
So Efren, he made a series of YouTube videos calling me out, calling me all sorts of names. I don't know, I don't actually remember what you called me, but I remember you were wearing a leather jacket. You had a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, like Negan from The Walking Dead, exactly how you put it. And I remember, I think you had a picture of me that you framed,
Yeah.
and you smashed the picture, and the glass shattered and everything, and you just had the camera linger on that frame smashed with my picture, and you called me out to a fight.
Hmm.
you
I
you
remember
thought
like
that was the way to rattle the
you know,
cages and get my attention?
well, like I don't know. I guess like not that I'm not sure if it was like ahead of its time or whatever, but like I just thought like that's just something unique because typically people would just call each other out on the internet or whatever, and I
Right,
just thought like, oh, well, like storytelling wise, what if like I can do something with this, you know?
right. Yeah, I don't even remember how I found that. Maybe you tagged me in it or something, but I remember finding that video and I was like, "Oh, I've never seen anybody do this before." And like, does he really not like me? Because I don't know. I was younger at the time. I was like, does he really not like me, or is this like a work? Is he like trying to get my attention? And I remember. Do you remember how I reacted to that? Because I certainly don't.
I remember like I tried to message you on Instagram, whatever. Then like I guess you know I didn't really get like any response or anything like that. Because I know I called out like other guys from like MABW or whatever, and like I remember I kind of got some like you know heat for it, but it's like well I guess that's kind of good. And like realistically, like you know I have to play both sides. Like you know sure there is like some kayfabe behind it, whatever. But like in reality, I just wanted to work with you guys. You know, like I just thought like this is like a good way to like get you guys hooked. You know.
Yeah, looking back on it, I don't blame you for how you did it. And I encourage it. Like, how else would you have gotten our attention? Granted, the way that that played out is I think I ignored the shit out of you, but but well, because it was like we had our own weekly content going up every week, and it was like, how do I fit this in it? It's like
Yeah.
he lives in Kansas, I live in Jersey, and it's like, how would this even happen? And I think that was before we had guys flying back and forth, like MEBW and EBW guys fighting each other. So
Because one thing I do want to say, like I don't know if you guys ever like you know kept up with my content, whatever, but like I actually did like a crossover that like I really really enjoy. Um, Devil's Night. I don't know if you ever heard of it. So
maybe.
pretty much I traveled to North Carolina by car, and I did a crossover from Kansas to North Carolina, and like we did a crossover that like was like building up for like the last or in the story wise or in real life at that point for like 3 years. And like we enjoyed it, we loved it, and like we kind of ran it back the
Now,
very
who's in
next
North
year.
Carolina?
Uh huh.
What Fed is in North Carolina?
TWF.
TW Trampoline Wrestling Federation, I'm guessing.
I think so. Their top star was Caution.
I'm out of it, man.
I guess you could say it was like an underrated, you know.
Well, I
Because I
didn't
mean,
know. I know that no slight to them. I didn't keep up with backyard wrestling after I got out.
I don't
So
blame you.
it was rough. It was like I never actually talked to anybody about this. So this is an interesting way that this conversation has gone. And this is probably interesting and maybe a little bit boring for people who don't know about our little circle of BYW, but we're going to talk about it nonetheless, and then we'll get into the filmmaking stuff.
Absolutely.
So after I stopped being a pro wrestler or a backyard wrestler, it was like an ego death. So I grew up playing this character, Maximus Roman, and then when that all stopped, I was left with Maximus Cardillo, and it was like, who is this guy? Because it's like when you strip down the character, because I know all wrestling characters are yourself dialed up to like 11. So, like, after you dial Maximus Roman down, it's like, what's left? I remember thinking that. I was like, those are like the best parts of me. That's like what I was known for on the internet. So, like, how do I navigate now? How do I do things now? Because, like, you know how it is when you're a wrestler or a fighter, and it's like everything you say is like kind of true, but it's all in this kayfabe character realm. So it's like you can kind of get away with saying like anything because it's like, no,
Yeah.
bro, I was in character. No, I was in character. So like once you take that safety blanket away, I was like a deer in the headlights, and I was left with just my vlog and my movies and then the real world. So because every week I would go on the internet and I would wrestle and I would cut promos. I would be interacting with people like yourself, Matt Thunder, Jack Delta, guys like that, and then to have it all go away, it was like it was jarring. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that, but I had to like really rediscover myself after I stopped playing that character because I played that character for about 10 years. So after that ended, um, that's kind of where I think I really discovered my passion for filmmaking. And for context, everybody listening, there's a reason why this conversation's starting here because I think for me personally, my filmmaking journey started because I was a pro wrestler. As weird and as backwards as that sounds, and I think Efren can relate, my story as a filmmaker, director, producer, writer stems from being a pro wrestler because as a pro wrestler, I had to write my lines. Not only that, but I had to write lines for like my colleagues and my peers. I'd have to collaborate on storylines with other wrestlers and make sure that those storylines were engaging and that there's character arc and things of that nature. So I think filmmaking was a natural progression of that field, that lane, my childhood, my growing up passion, and it has brought me to where I am today. So, Efren, I've heard you speak on YouTube and things like that of your journey being similar. How much
Mhm.
can you attest to that and agree with what I said, or how much of it was different for you, like from your perspective? Like, how was it coming from this backyard wrestling, this pro wrestling world to now making films?
You know, when you were describing that, I was smiling because, like, well, like, like it's literally, I see the similarities. Because for me, like, I've been like, when I was doing backyarding, whatever, I was doing it for like almost a decade, and like that, I was pretty much doing that from like middle school to high school, and that was like my whole personality. Like
Me
I
too.
was just living up my character. Like if high school was Hollywood, I was pretty much being like
Right.
a wrestler, whatever. But anyways, after we faded out with YouTube wrestling, whatever, I realized like, oh, what am I supposed to do with life now? But then like I also like was watching my old clips and all that. Then I realized, wait a minute, I enjoyed filming, I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed like creating these type of stories, and like why not like I want to say renovate that wheel, but more of like do it again, but like not necessarily like wrestling wise, but like just filming wise. And I guess like that's where I'm on the same boat with you. Like I've just had this love for filming, and I just haven't really noticed it until I gotten older.
And that's why I said to start the podcast, you remind me of a younger me because you found that you liked recording videos, that you liked making movies, scenes, playing characters, and you
Hmm.
discovered that through the wrestling. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if that is a path that our colleagues, our peers took. Like I think a lot of the guys are professional wrestlers now, like Matt Thunder,
Yes.
Kyler Coleman, and I think that we are the other side of the coin. It's like some of those guys took those skills that we cultivated on YouTube back from 2014 and on and went and actually became wrestlers or fighters, and we took them and became content creators, YouTubers, filmmakers, writers,
Hmm.
directors, and the list can go on. So I just find that really interesting, and I've always watched you from a distance because I always was hoping the best for you because if you could do it, I could do it. If I could do it, you could do it, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
I
and
agree.
I think that it's a very interesting time to be a filmmaker because we have platforms like this, how we could just turn on a camera first thing in the morning, turn on a microphone, and talk about our creative perspectives, our opinions, our backstory, no matter how weird or obscure it may be.
Hmm.
I think that is empowering and it's a tool that we are using and that we need to continue to use. Because I know for a while, and I kind of touched on this in my first podcast, I think the advent of the internet has made us all more connected. Like without the internet, I wouldn't have met you. But I think with the internet comes like this weird stigmatism of like not everybody wants to put themselves out there. And I heard you speak on this, so that's where I'm going with this. You said something on the internet, correct me if I'm wrong, where you struggled with making YouTube videos as a kid in school because people would give you a hard time and or bully you. Can you speak to that? Because I can totally 100% relate to that growing up.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, for instance, growing up as a WWE fan, people will like,
Yeah.
that's already something else on its own. Like people would say, "Oh, you watch that stuff and all that," but
Yeah.
like now when you make content, it's kind of like the same level because people are like, "Oh, this is so cringy," And I will admit, like, that's the kind of stuff I had to like just push through. Like I couldn't just give up because if I give up, that means I'm giving up the things I enjoy doing. That means I'm listening to the haters, whatever. But like, I wasn't trying to prove them wrong, but I was just trying to like, and to prove myself. Like, I'm doing this for myself, not necessarily for the viewers or whatever. But like, it's funny because like after I've gotten so much hate, once I made it to high school, people came up to me, and they were like, "Oh no way, I enjoyed your video," and it's like,
Right.
I kind of like to see that character arc in them, I guess.
Right. That was literally my experience to a T. I had people in the school bus who would like come on there in the morning and be like, "Oh, Maximus Roman, Maximus Roman," and they would be like making fun of me that I played this character on the internet. And then those same people would DM me later on, and they would be like, "Hey, like, how do I join?" Or like I love what you're doing. And to this day, I still get comments and people like that who will DM me on a sidebar and be like, "I really like your content, bro," or like, "Keep up the good work. Like I've been watching all your movies." And I sit there and I'm like, "Hmm, you watch my movies?" Like you're the same dude in high school or the same girl in high school that would have been like, he makes movies, like he's corny or like whatever. And it's like because I stayed true to myself and I assume because you stayed true to yourself, it's almost this it's almost like this overwhelming feeling of like, yeah, like that's what I fucking do. It's like now I'm so proud of what I do and what I create, what I write and everything because I never gave it up. Like a lot of people I know did. Like when like the bullying started or when these people, these haters came and they started, putting a fire under your ass, I like to say, they tucked their tail and ran. Whereas me and you are still doing this and we're still here creating and we're staying true to ourselves, you know?
Well, I agree because at the end of the day, we just have our shows, so might as well take a chance on doing something that we could make our dreams come true.
Right, and that's a reason why my first films were what they were. And and I want to say something before I move on to that thought, because it's like I that stigmatism that I was just speaking to you about, like I I had a weird feeling, and I think there's a stigmatism about bringing up the BYW stuff. Like this podcast going up on Apple Podcast, Spotify, it's like it's gonna reach so many more people that were in our little bubble growing up. So it was almost like, do I want to erase that part of my backstory or my history because other people won't get it? Or they'll think it's silly or dumb? Or do I talk about it and shine a light on it because it is a part of me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is like, and coming up with the show notes for today and for this podcast, I was like, well, I can't gloss over it because it's how I met Efren. Like if I never had that upbringing, that childhood backyard wrestling YouTube channel, um, then I wouldn't have met you. You know what I mean? So I knew I couldn't gloss over it, and yeah, I don't know. I just I almost thought to not talk about that stuff because it's like, does anybody get it? Like right now, talking about it, I'm like, is anybody listening to this understanding what I even mean? Because I know you get what I mean, but like
Yeah.
other people, like I don't even know if other people have heard of BYW.
Probably not. I
So
mean, you never
BYW is
know.
backyard wrestling, guys. That's what we've been talking about the whole first couple minutes here. It's like that underground fight club, which then I got a couple viral videos on the internet, and then that launched me into becoming a professional wrestler. And for a couple years there, I was a professional wrestler traveling to New York, putting on fights for audiences in like a bingo hall. Not only a bingo hall, there was like nightclubs that I wrestled in, and I remember this one time, Efren. Oh my God, this was so funny that I was the main event in a casket match where the objective of the match is to shove your opponent in a casket and shut the lid. And I remember, um, I was spoiler alert, I was thrown into the casket. The lid was shut. They padlocked me in, and I remember they left me in there for quite a long time because they had to get the key or whatever. And I remember hearing from the inside of the wooden casket, people were saying, "The mariachi band's here. The mariachis are here. Like we gotta go." So somebody had double booked the venue. So after the
Wow.
wrestling show had ended, we had to break down the ring, get everybody out of there, and then there was a mariachi playing there, like all throughout the night because it was a nightclub and they had a mariachi band playing. Um, yeah, that was just one of my funniest. Like I've got these crazy fucking stories that I could tell this podcast, but it's like so out of left field. Like I was in a casket, padlocked shut, and then all I hear is these mariachis coming in and setting up and tuning their instruments. Oh, not to mention this is during a blizzard in Newburgh, New
Wow.
York. So I had to go past New York City, further north, all the way up in the mountains, right on the Hudson River, I believe. And it's during a blizzard. And it was my debut for NUW. But all of that is because of this niche little backyard wrestling YouTube channel, company fed, whatever you want to call it, that I kind of got discovered on. And that is the reason that I made filmmaking, like I already said. And I think my first movies, if you remember them, let me know. Death or Silence?
Yes.
Yeah. So those, I think, were inspired by this stigmatism of what I've been talking about. This
Hmm.
thing that we do, this creative mind that we have and that we share. It's like in high school in particular, that's a perfect like place, a story, a perfect location, a setting for this type of stigmatism. And I have found that it has followed me through college and through life itself. But it's like if you speak up about what you like, whether it be professional wrestling, whether it be filmmaking, people will, and this is like the harshest of sense, the most hyperbole that you can use, kill you. They will harass you. They will make fun of you. They will make you feel bad about what you like. So in a way, they kill you, right? And then you have a choice to accept that exile, and you can accept being different, and you can own it, and you can make it your character, right? Or you can choose to be silent and assimilate with the rest of the people in the world. And that was the whole theme or message behind my first movies. And it's so crazy because I didn't set out to make that the theme. That was like, that just came to me. And this is something that I've heard Robert Rodriguez talk about. And I know he's like your favorite director and your inspiration. There's like this thing as a creative, as a writer, that you tune into. Like, I don't personally think the ideas, and this is where you kind of get like kind of weird and fringe with it. It's like, I think as a writer, director, I tune into a frequency, and I've heard many creatives talk this way. Like, I don't think it comes from me. I think I tune into it, and I am a vessel for the creativity and the idea. Do you experience anything like that in your regard, or do you know anything like what I'm talking about?
I I agree. I mean, I understand what you mean by that because I remember, for instance, Robert Rodriguez. He says something about like when it's time for him to like come up with ideas, like he doesn't really think of them, but more of like kind of like a portal of some sort, like just like creativity just coming through, you know, and like
Mhm.
the moment you start saying, "Oh, this is really cool. What else?" That's when the portal shuts
Right,
because like you're literally shutting that portal of creativity.
right. Because you're kind of forcing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I never force ideas. And I guess now we're segueing into the filmmaking stuff. So I guess all the filmmakers, here's the timestamp that you're gonna click to. So I guess with my idea, like I don't force ideas. I kind of let them free flow, if that makes sense. Like, but here's something I also noticed about myself, and let me know if you do the same thing. I try and make my life this playground or the sandbox of just creativity. So like I always have something going. And my girlfriend calls this ADHD, but I've been tested. I don't have that. I play videos, right? Or I listen to podcasts like this, like constantly. So if I'm cutting the grass, earbuds are in, listening to a podcast. If I'm in the shower, the phone is on the windowsill next to the shower, and I'm listening to my favorite director speak. I'm listening to my favorite creator talk. Or if I'm right before bed, I'm watching a YouTube video about how to make a scene better, or I'm watching a movie. I'm always constantly watching movies as well because that is like taking notes. That's like going to school for me, watching films of my favorite directors. So I basically try and make and mold my life into this slingshot, and I am the little pebble you put in the slingshot, and I'm hoping that it propels me into an idea, into something. And so far it always has. Like I have this crazy amount of ideas just written in my notes, and just like Robert Rodriguez, I don't know if you've heard this from him, always carry around a stack of flashcards.
You know, it's
Always
funny you mentioned that.
a stack
Yes,
of
that is
flashcards
true.
because you never know when an idea is going to come up and you need to write it down. So, do you do something like that for creating ideas?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. So, like, whatever you do, you like listen to podcasts or whatever. For me, I like to do something similar like that, but it's more with music. And with music, I'm not really listening to music for the song. I mostly listen to music because, like, that's where I get some of the ideas. Like, for instance, like Martin Scorsese, like when he was a kid, like they didn't have TVs back then.
Right.
So like when he would be playing with toys, he would be listening to music. Then he would be like, I feel like I can make a scene with the song like this, with the song in the background, or whatever.
Hmm.
And like ever since I go driving, like when I go driving, for instance, I'll play a random song, and I'm like, oh, this would be cool for a scene like this or whatever.
Right.
But like for the creativity, luckily I have a mirror on my wall. So what I like to do, I just like to write for like ideas or whatever. And then I also have like sticky notes because they will also come useful. But like with the note cards, that's really helpful. Like I remember in the podcast, Robert Rodriguez said like these could actually change your life. And ever since like I just started writing, even though it didn't really led up to something at the moment, like I saw how it unfold my life. Because even it's like a task for the day, like you literally have it planned out, or like story wise, like you have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an end. And if you're looking at the story and you're like, wait a minute, something's not right, you could like just change some parts around, and that's what I really like. And I will admit, like years before, like I would try to do it on Google Docs, on the internet, whatever. But like I couldn't really be that creative because it felt like more minimal. I think that's the word. Like I wasn't really being that creative until like I got like a pencil and started writing. That's when I unlocked my creativity. Like that's when I felt more freedom.
What do you mean by minimal? Like typing? Like was a
I
block?
feel like with typing wise, it kind of feels like more. It's supposed to be like
More
professional,
bullshit,
more
right?
of like
Like okay,
clean,
I mean
whatever.
more bullshit because like okay, let me this is what I'm working on this podcast using my words.
Yes.
More bullshit is like shorthand, I guess, in my weird Maximus Cardillo head of saying like it's like a block. It's like not truly you. I think there's something so special about like pen to paper. Like
Yes.
literally your hand writing and you feel the paper underneath. You feel the pen in your hand and you feel your pen gliding on the paper, right? It's more of
Mm-hmm.
like brain to physical reality, right?
Yes.
So is that what you mean by like you were minimal?
Yeah, because like I needed like that extra step. Well, it wasn't really extra step, but like to me, like that physical effort made a difference versus like just typing. Because like, I wasn't really like putting those words on paper. Like
To me
versus when
it's
you
to
write
me
it.
it's literally actually it's an extra step because I literally write all my scripts handwritten, all
Okay.
like 90 to 100 pages handwritten, and then I bring that manuscript to the table and then I type on my computer or my iPad. I
Mm,
use an iPad because it's more easy to take everywhere. And then it turns
yes.
into a foldable computer with a keyboard. And then I literally type it out. But always, I agree with you. First, pen to paper. It helps me flow better. And if you look at like my early drafts of my writing, my sister, my girlfriend can attest to this. They say that it looks like a crazy man is writing, like somebody in an insane asylum is just sitting there. Like it looks like the writings of a madman. Because
It's
like,
funny you mentioned that
yeah,
because I had a similar experience. I remember like I brought out my notebook because I had invited my friends over to show them like my script or whatever,
right.
and they literally thought I was like plotting to rob a train or whatever.
Because you look
So
crazy,
that's
right?
how crazy.
Right,
And like that's what it is to be a filmmaker. Like you have to be crazy, like
right, one hundred
because
percent. So I,
what
I
I
I
love,
100% agree with that.
yes, because what I love about filmmaking, like you know, filmmaking in general is the technical side. If you have no money, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter
Right.
because just need to be creative, have a camera, tell a story, and the rest is history.
I 100% agree with that, and I think that that's where people fall short of the mark. I have a lot of peers, a lot of people that ask me questions, and they're like, "How did you get started? Like, where did you get the idea? How did you do it? Like, oh no, like I don't have a professional camera like you, Max. I don't have lenses. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do it. But the truth is, you don't need to know a damn thing to make a movie. So my first feature film that I just made, I never, ever, ever used the editing software that I made that movie on. DaVinci Resolve, never touched it, never looked at it, never opened the application until it was time to edit the first scene. And then I sat in front of the computer after buying DaVinci Resolve, and I spent all the money on the software and everything, not even knowing how to use it, just on the fact that I knew DaVinci Resolve was a more professional suite to edit in, and that is a more professional suite to do your color grading in. Did I know how to color grade? No. But when it came time, after I figured out how to edit, then it became time to color grade. And I sat there and I watched how to videos, I read articles, and I sat there and I played with the software until I learned how to color grade. Now, is my first movie, Do Not Watch This Film, the best color grade you've ever seen? No, not anywhere near a great color grade. In fact, I received some criticism about the color grade on Do Not Watch This Film after the premiere at the AMC theater. And you know what? I take that criticism as like a badge of honor because you know what? Criticism and having somebody have an opinion about my work is better than having somebody watch it and not feel, not think, and not hold an opinion about it. It's like any sort of feeling, whether it be negative or positive, is positive in my mind, right? Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? It's like apathy is the devil. Like
Yeah.
that is the worst thing. Like somebody being uninterested and having no thoughts or opinions is the worst. So I'm glad that somebody made a comment on that color grade because it's like, you know what? Now I know the fundamentals of the color grade and I will take that and I will build upon that. And in a sense, that is how I am where I am today. Like, you think I know a damn thing about podcasting? No. And you know this for a fact, Efren. The first podcasts that we ever did were on like a cell phone or a
Pretty much,
computer,
yeah.
and we used like the computer audio, and it wasn't like there was no microphone, there was no audio recorder, there was no
No webcam, no
headphones
nothing.
checking exactly, no nothing. So exactly like you said, I 100% feel like that is where people need to get a kick in the ass and need to step up and step forward. You don't need these skills, and as a matter of fact, sometimes the skills can be a hindrance because sometimes when you know the skills, it's like, oh, like this scene, the lighting isn't that good. Like we have to like change the lights. We have to get more lights. We need 5 lights for this scene. But if you get 5 lights for the scene, that's 5 lights that you have to power up. You have to set up. You have to get perfectly right. And then after you get that one shot with those 5 lights, then you got to take the 5 lights, flip them for your reverse shot. And then you have to do the lighting all over again. And then next thing you know, you spent 8 hours on 5 shots. And I'm not faulting any director or any creator who does that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, if that's the way you make movies, that's the way you make movies. That's just not personally how I make movies. I am always after capturing the day, okay? I need to get like 5 scenes done, let's say. And I will get those scenes done regardless, you know? So, a lot of this new movie that I'm making, 29 Seconds to Midnight, it's all it's all practical lighting. Like I'm sitting the character in front of the sun in the way that it looks like I have a studio light on them. Or I turn them around and I use the sun as a hair light and then I just use a little light for the fill. You know what I mean? Like it's all about how you can make the practical world and the resources that you have around you and make that your film set. Make that your crew. Because
Hmm.
it's like I don't have a million people. Sure, and I am grateful that I have the people that I have that help me because it's a lot more than other people have. And this is another excuse I hear people say. I don't have a crew. Like, I don't have people that will help me with the lights. I don't have people that will help me with the edit. I don't have people that will help me and act in my stuff. Okay, that is an excuse. They are all excuses, okay? Because I can say this with 100% confidence. If I didn't have people that helped me on my crew, that didn't help me act in my stuff, I would still be writing stuff and I would act in it myself. I would have a camera on a tripod in my room. I would sit on one side of the room and I would act the one part. I would turn it around for the reverse shot and I would be the other character, you know? And I've seen it be done. I have done it before, you know?
Hmm.
You need to be
Yes.
your own solution to the problem. You need to be your writer, you need to be your director, you need to be your producer, you need to be your editor, you need to be your music guy in some sense of the word. And I know you've asked me about this the other day because nobody will do all of this stuff for you. You need to get out there and get after it and be your own team because you won't have a team that comes to you on day one. And nobody's going to say, hey, Efren, what's today's movie about? Like, what are we shooting today, Efren? What's our shot list looking like? How long is our script? How long will we be on set today, Efren? And what's the
Hmm.
music sound like? It's like, if you don't have the answers for this, nobody will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree. Cause like for instance, like people saying, "Oh, I don't have a team or a crew or whatever." Like going back to Robert Rodriguez, like
Hmm.
he made his first movie by himself. Like he was like the director, he was the writer, he
Hmm.
was like the sound editor, whatever. He was all of this, and like to me, like as a content creator or whatever, that inspired me because I've like done like my own videos, I've done my own editing, I done my own like cameraman, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm creating all this like on my own, and when it comes to like filming wise, like sure, it's not like hot like the way Hollywood films it, whatever. No, like I'm actually like doing it where it's like practical to everybody and it's convenient for me. Like for instance, like me as the editor, I know how I want it to be shot. I know how how long I want the scene to end or whatever. Because like I vividly see it or whatever. Because like you're supposed to see your movie before the movie is actually made. I mean that's my theory, but like that's how I always saw content in general. Like you have to see your movie before it's released or
That's
before it's even shot, pretty much.
I've heard that saying before, and it's so crazy because I listen to these podcasts about these creators, these directors that I love and I admire, and it's like a lot of the stuff that they say is stuff that I experience in the actual world. It's like, yeah, I do watch my movie before it's shot. It's all in your imagination. And I know
Mm-hmm.
some creatives aren't like that. Like they can't visualize like that, but for me I can. And I watch the movie before it's filmed. Before I even have people cast for the role, I see the characters and I can see how they should banter and how they should play off of each other. But I also see that there's a positive and a negative to that as well because it's like if you visualize your movie or your scene or your characters and you go to set with that mindset, that's almost toxic because it's like say so this is a rule I have with actors. When I have actors on set, I don't tell them what I want from them the first take. We'll have a general meeting and they'll ask me the questions that they might have, but I don't tell them stand up here, throw your arms up in the air here, point in his face here, yell on this line, you know? Because if you direct them to a T, every motion, every emotion, any little thing, they're going to do that. And that is the devil. That is the worst thing. Because say you went in there and you just, went with a generalization. You give them adjectives. You tell them what is going on in the scene. Not what they should be doing in the scene, just backstory. What is going on in the character's mind. Then they bring their own talent to the material and then they might give you something better than you ever envisioned to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I always operate on my take one. And I don't know how you are with that, but I have found that I've gotten a lot of performances that I love and that I admire from my actors when I don't tell them what I want. And sometimes that isn't good because as a director, you do need to have a vision and you do need to be on point. One of the best compliments I ever got was from one of my actresses, and she said to her peers, her other friends or family, she said to them, "Yeah, I'm working on this movie, and the director just really knows what he wants." And I was like, "Wow." So like, the fact that she said that she's worked with directors in the past, she told me this. I'm not putting words in her mouth. At least I hope I'm not. She said that she's worked with directors in university where it was like it was directed by community. It was like a community direction. So it was like everybody had an opinion. The set designer, the gaffer, the assistant producer, the guy in craft services. Like everybody had like an idea of what the movie was and then it was directed by committee. So to hear her say that I had a vision and everything, that's like the highest of compliments you could pay me because it's like, yes, I do have the vision, but I'm not a dictator on set, and there's a perfectly fine line that you have to walk. You can't be a dictator. You have to be somewhere in the middle. Like you can't let people walk and step all over you, because I've had moments like that on set as well, especially in table reads. Like when you bring the material to people, I've had moments where the people at the table read were like, "Oh, this has to be changed, Max," or "You're saying this too like openly, like we have to have some subtext here." And you know what? I did this on my first movie. I changed some things because my cast and my crew told me to. And like I regret that to a sense, but I also appreciate that in a sense because it's like I wasn't stubborn. Like I wasn't hard-headed enough to disregard that and let it go in one ear and out the other, but I was also firm in keeping some things in that I think like were very important to the story, but I was able to ebb and flow with some of the things my cast and my crew told me. Now, some of the things I kind of regret changing. Some of the things I'm like, you know what? That's a very positive attribute that I have, that I was able to hear them and I wasn't able to just tune them out. You don't want to ever fall in a slump of being like, I'm right, I'm always right, 100% of the time, I am right. But you have to stay true to the idea. If you do not stay true to the idea, it won't be your vision anymore. And if it's not your vision anymore, then when your movie is released and it says directed and written by Efren Martinez, it's like, no, it wasn't. Not really. And then you have to live with that. And I noticed when you have something with your name on the marquee or it's stamped by you, but there's ideas in it that aren't your ideas, it's like the worst feeling ever. It's very much um I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
It's stingy.
It stings, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shitty feeling,
Hmm.
you know? And I'm sure you've experienced that with your movies and your creations, right?
Yeah, I've created like similar experience like that where it's like, for instance, if I was making this video, like I had this whole video idea laid out, but like, as you said, I listened to people's feedbacks and it's like, oh, maybe they're
Mm.
right or whatever, and I wasn't really like, I'm like I wasn't really like strong to myself, so like, I let them, have their ideas out and whatever. So by the time I come editing, like editing kind of sucks. It's like, oh, now I have to see like, oh, like this is their idea, whatever, blah blah blah, and it's like, well, I didn't really accomplish what I wanted, but at least I got the idea out there.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I noticed that like I'm like what 40 minutes and 50 minutes in, and it's like I'm wondering. People are probably wondering who's this guy. I
No,
probably
yeah.
didn't have like an introduction, I guess.
No, I already gave you an introduction in
Oh,
post.
okay. Thank you very much. Maybe I
Yeah.
just have bad memory.
No. I gave you. I'm in post. Like it's gonna be tagged on to the beginning.
Oh, okay.
No, trust me. I
My
got
name
you.
is
I
Efren
got you.
Martinez.
Yeah.
I am from Kansas. I'm a filmmaker and a content creator. I don't know. I'm a jockey. There's so many things that I am, but I guess you can just say I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah. As am I. As am I. And I think that that's the creative. That is like. That's where we are like brothers in a sense, without saying not blood, but it's like I can relate to your struggle, and I think you can relate to my struggle, and that's why I wanted to have you on as the first guest on this podcast. Are You Not Entertained? Because I thought that we could have such a creative and flowing conversation, just relating to one another, and I think we've done that so far. But as we start to wind down, I know you had some questions for me. I know you were
Yes.
you were hitting me up in the DM, and you wanted to know some things. So I wanted to cover all my bases, and I wanted to let you ask those questions and everything, because I think that that can help a lot of other filmmakers listening to the podcast or content creators.
Hmm.
Do you remember any of those, or
I remember some of them. Yes.
okay, let them fly?
Um,
Because I know
I
I
guess
was like
like
I was like dipping and dodging your questions in the DM. I was like, wait, no. Let's talk about this on the
no,
podcast
I
so we have
agree. I
stuff. Yeah,
agree. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
because it's like this is our first time talking. And like in years, pretty much like
yeah,
actually talk.
yeah.
But like one thing that I really want to ask is like after like you realized that you wanted to make this movie, like how was it like in a sense of like did you have to give yourself a deadline? Like did you have to like have this done by this and this?
Which movie are we talking about? My movies in general, or are we talking about
Like your
this?
first movie, like for instance, the one that you released in theaters.
So the question is, did I give myself a deadline, and
Yes,
did I give
that's
myself a
fine.
deadline? Is that the question?
Yes.
So that's a good question because I feel like deadlines are very important.
Hmm.
So in short, yes, I gave myself a deadline because if there isn't a deadline or a doomsday, if you will, if there isn't this day of reckoning coming for your ass, there isn't a fire under your ass. And if there isn't a fire under your ass, you get lazy. And I operate better under pressure, I believe. So, yes, I gave myself a deadline of Halloween. I wanted the movie to be released by Halloween. And I think somewhere along the lines, well, actually, no, I think it was during pre production, I gave myself the goal of releasing this movie in a theater. So I have to write, direct, edit, produce everything. I have to learn this new editing software. I have to do the color grade myself. I have to write the music myself. I have to figure out how to get in a movie theater in 1 year's time. And because I gave myself that deadline, I was a man on a mission, Efren. I and you can ask the people on set. Sometimes it's chaotic as all hell. And there's yelling and there's screaming, but it's all in the creative endeavor. And yeah, I operate better with a deadline. I know so many creative people that are my friends that they do this creative thing and they create it and they're working on it, they're chipping away every day at it, but then they get to a point where they're done, right? And they sit back and they look at their body of work and there's this little devil on their shoulder and they're like, it's not done yet. You have to tweak this, or you have to fix this, or you have to restart. This is shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the worst thing a creative person can do because you're self sabotaging yourself into
Yes.
believing that your work isn't good when really it is good. I notice this a lot. When you're working on a project for like over 3 months, I think 3 to 4 months, you start to get burnt out or sick and
Yeah.
tired of your idea and you think it's the fucking worst, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that is only because you are so connected to your idea. And when you are so connected to your idea, you're thinking it, you're reliving it in your head over and over each and every day. So, of course, you're going to get sick of it. You've been listening to it, thinking about it every single day. It's like eating your favorite food every day. You love it. It's your number one food, right? But if you eat it
Mm-hmm.
every single day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you won't want to eat that after like a week, right? That's the same thing with these movies, with these ideas. But the thing with these movies and these ideas is movie making, filmmaking, this shit takes that long. It takes upwards of a year to create a feature film, especially on a no budget, small indie production like I do. So you have to be able to stay calm, stay still, trust and believe in your idea, but also have respect for your deadline. Because without your deadline, you will be making changes to this day. Like I would literally be making changes to that movie that released in October. Do not watch this
Mm-hmm.
film if I didn't set the deadline. I still think to this day, oh, I could have done this different. Oh, I'd like to do this. And I could go back and reshoot things and insert things and re-edit things, but it's like, nah, man, like that represents who I was at that stage in my career or my journey, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that is who I was, and now that is a stepping stone, a building block. And I'm not gonna go back and fix it because if I keep going back and fixing, I'm going backwards. And we always
Yeah.
want to be going forwards. So I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
all of my mistakes and my I don't even know if I want to call them mistakes. My learning curves. I'm taking all of that shit and I'm bringing it with me on the next movie, 29 Seconds to Midnight. I hope that answered your question a little
No,
bit.
I did. Cause I'm currently working on my first film, Bros Forever, and like with this film, like I like thought about it. I really like stood up all night just thinking about it, writing it down, and I'm like, you know what? I want to make this realistic for me. Like I had a goal lined out, like have a deadline. Like for instance, filming wise, wrapping like filming, the deadline is February the 28th. So like I pretty much like filmed like for the last few months.
Mm,
And like the idea is you just have to give yourself enough time and live up to it. And like as you were saying, like making mistakes, like as I record and edit, because like I like to, try to put the pieces together as a puzzle, just so you can slowly see the vision coming together. Like I've noticed like there's mistakes, and it's like no, no. But then again, I realized, you know what? It's my first film. Of course, it's gonna get messy, so might as well like roll up our sleeves and like apply some elbow grease, like just like get down, like and have fun, because that's what most people forget sometimes is to have fun. Because like you're making a movie, making a movie is a luxury. Like people say, oh, this is hard. Like no, like working a 9 to 5 job is hard, you know. But like making a movie, like that's such a luxury.
Yeah, 100%.
Hmm.
It is a luxury,
And
and I have to remember that my own self because I am sometimes on set after 7 hours in the rain, in fake blood, and in a puddle, getting beaten up with whiplash, banging my head on the street, and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, this is the fucking shits. And then I go home and then I watch the stuff back, and it's like, damn. Like, who can say they did this? Not to mention the stories and the shit that I have from doing this. It's another reason I started this podcast because I've got so many stories. Like, it really is a blessing to do what we do. And the person that empowered us to do it is us, and that is the most beautiful part about the whole thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
hmm
cut you off.
no, no, you're good. I was just pretty much like agreeing with you and like just saying like it's funny that you mentioned that you see like a younger version of you,
I
in
do,
me,
I
and it's
do.
like that's really cool because it's like I see like I'm like I guess you can say I'm like following in your footsteps in a way,
You could say that,
yeah,
I guess, yeah. But that's why I
yeah.
want to give you the opportunity to ask these questions now because it's like, if younger me could ask those questions, it's like almost what you would be asking me now. So, if you
Hmm.
have any more before we wrap up, keep asking.
Absolutely. So when it came to like getting like close to like releasing your movie, like how was that? Like for instance, like trying to get release it in theaters and all that. Like how was that process?
So I'm still in that process, right?
Oh, okay.
So like, do not watch this film is still in purgatory, I call it, because it's like you work so hard to make this movie, and it's like it's not just bam and it's released, boom,
Hmm.
like YouTube, like what we're used to. It's not like
Yeah.
boom, published. Now everybody on YouTube can see it. It can go viral. Multi-million people can see it. It's not like that. It's different, right? And this is something that I struggle with to this day. So do Not Watch This Film is in purgatory, like I said, because we are waiting on film festivals to give us an approval or an acceptance or whatever the hell you call it, you know? So we submitted to like a dozen or more film festivals for Do Not Watch This Film. But these film festivals sometimes have months upon months upon months of turnaround time to where the screeners have to watch it, they have to rate it, they have to see if they want to put it and build it into their programming. So we're waiting on some film festivals. So I wouldn't say it's released yet. So basically, patience, have patience. Know who you're submitting to. There's a lot of clickbait, I call them, bait and switch film festivals that are just laurel mills, right? So laurels are those little things you get, like best in-house, best film, best direction. They give those away if you just pay, basically. You pay like $75 and they call it the entry fee, but you're guaranteed to get the award. Like the award doesn't actually mean anything. And I didn't learn that so much later. I wasted a lot of money and things on that. So young filmmakers, I would tell you, do not submit to every film festival. Make sure it has credentials, people that you know have been there, whether it's famous people or peers, that you just know somebody that has gone there, that it has good reviews. Read the reviews. Um, but also do your research. Read up. We live in a day and age in 2026 when you can read about distribution. You can self distribute to Amazon, to Tubi, to Freevee, to places like this. So I believe that's what I'm going to be doing in the future. I will be releasing to Amazon and things like that. But the theater, I had the fortune of knowing somebody who knows somebody who owns a theater. So that's how I was able to get in the AMC theater. I knew somebody who knew somebody who knew the theater or something like that. And we had some discussions, and I was able to put together a team because I also went to high school with somebody, Sophie Aguila, shout out Sophie, that she went to school to be a director and a producer, and she actually moved out to LA. We actually went to high school together, and now she lives out in LA doing this thing. And she actually came on as my associate producer. So she talked to a lot of venues and sought out where we could go with the premiere. Well, we call it a community premiere because technically it's not released out to the public yet. But yeah, so I had a lot of connections. So be nice to everybody, know everybody, make connections, and talk to people. Because if you don't talk to people, you don't know who they know. And if you don't know who they know, you might be shorting yourself because, that person could be a connection when really that person in real life is just my friend's dad. But if I didn't get to
Hmm.
talking to my friend's dad, then I wouldn't have known that he knows somebody who owns the AMC theater. you know?
Hmm.
So get to know everybody, talk to everybody, and be open about your creating. Because I am so open about making movies and everything, people come to me now because I post constantly on my Instagram. So people are DMing me like, "Oh Max, that's awesome. Can I come? Can I come to the premiere?" And that's how we were able to sell out the movie theater. We had like 120 seats, I think, in that movie theater, and we sold out all of them. And we had people standing in the back of the AMC movie theater just because I publicized it so much. Everybody I know, my coworkers, my family, my family's friends, my friends' friends of friends. I got everybody and anybody that would listen to me talk. I told them about Do Not Watch This Film. And I encouraged them to come to the theater. And I overbooked the theater, and that's a story for another day. But yeah.
No, that's really cool. I mean, I just want to share this real quick. The idea of like me wanting to like make a movie and release it in theaters was last year. I remember I went to a drive-in in our local drive-in, and we were watching Thunderbolts. And I remember before the movie started, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, it'd be really cool to like watch a movie here, like make our own movie. Then like ever since I said that out loud, I just couldn't get it out of my head. Like I just
Yeah.
couldn't. Then like right after that movie ended, I literally like looked for the owner, the manager, whatever, and I talked with him. And he was like really like stunned by my idea, and like he gave me his like contact information, and it's
Wow.
like how you said, like communication. Like to me, communication is key. Like
Mm-hmm.
to me, like filmmaking, whatever, is like relationship. Like you
Yeah.
have to be community is key. Sure, there's toxic whatever, but like it's kind of like a love hate whatever. But like it's a relationship nonetheless.
Yeah. And the movie is your wife or your
Yeah.
girlfriend or your partner. It's your significant other. And you have to stay true to your significant other. And you have to do things that are good and that will positively impact your relationship together. Because if you bring in somebody who is toxic, like a friend, they might sabotage your relationship, right? And this is
Mm-hmm.
life advice, this is relationship advice, but this is movie advice. It all is the same because if you bring somebody in that is toxic for your relationship, they will actually try and steal the rights for the movie or they will tell you your idea is shit and you won't pursue it anymore, right? So your movie is your wife. It is your significant other. It is your partner and you need to stay true and abide by your significant other. That's how I feel and that's how I believe. And I think that's true in life.
No, I agree absolutely because you know there's this quote, I forgot who said it, but it was like a really famous director. He says, in a man's life, he can't go through the day without thinking about sex. Filmmaker wise, they can't go through the whole day without thinking about like movies, and I feel like it's the
Facts.
same thing.
That's facts.
And like ever since like I just got into like the mindset of like making movies, like that's how I see life. Like I just see like, oh, this would be cool for a shot, or like, oh, that looks cool for like character development, whatever. Like I just feel like ever since you get into this industry, like your life just goes into a different.
You got the
It
bug, man.
unravels.
You got the bug.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's
It's
for
kind of like
sure.
growing up with wrestling. It was the same thing, but like now it's just with movies now.
Right. And that's our character arc so far, but it's to be continued. So, do you have any more questions before we wrap this? I didn't want to short you. I know you had a few.
Yeah. No, I guess my last question is, what would you say? I mean, I not that's a spoiler, but what would you say is your dream movie? Like, what I mean by that, like, is it like to make like a comic book live action or?
I'm going to give you this answer and it's kind of like a bruh, but my dream movie is my next movie because um I believe that making movies is very rare to actually be able to complete a feature film, to make a film, to get a group of minds collectively together and create this one thing together from the pre-production process to the post-production process. That process is such an enigma. It is so crazy difficult, right? That my next movie is my dream movie because making any movie is a dream to me.
I respect that. I love that answer.
Yeah. So, Efren, I've appreciated having you on. I have to have you back on because we didn't even talk about like I wanted to get into like your jockey. You're a jockey, and that's like so fucking unique, right? I know we touched on it in the beginning, but you fucking
Yeah.
ride horses, dude. That's so fucking cool.
Then like I just want to say this real quick. Yeah, here in a bit, I'm actually gonna go work. I'm gonna train some horses. Hopefully, I don't get booked off. But yeah, that's pretty much my double life, I guess.
Right, right. So I have to have you back on. I want to talk about that because that's a whole discipline in and of itself that I'd like to hear about. Um, and I think there's just so much more to touch on here. So Have to have you back on soon. But thank you for your time, Efren. I really, really appreciate it, bro.
I appreciate being invited. You know, like it felt nice, just like keep like just being in touch with you, like just engaging, like sharing the story that we have. You know, like engaging and all that. Like, so I'm really honored to be on this podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. All right. That's it. That's a fucking wrap.